we're here covering the UN Climate Change Conference in Katowice, Poland. Of course, we're outside the conference because we're not allowed in because, of course, the Canadian government petitioned the UN to ban us. But while we were here, we actually met a fellow traveler in the climate change skeptic side of the debate through our friend Mark Morano. Joining me now is Alex Newman with the New American. Alex, can you tell us a little bit for people who don't know what the New American is all about?
Sure. Well, thank you very much. So the New American is a twice monthly magazine published out of Wisconsin, but it's a national magazine. It's officially a publication of the John Birch Society, which is a national conservative organization that's been around on the front lines of the freedom fight for 60 years now. We just had our 60-year anniversary with Congressman Thomas Massey and a number of other really great patriots. And our position is summed up in our motto for the magazine, that freedom shall not perish. And so, you know, we do have a viewpoint, and our viewpoint is that we support freedom and we support what's right. And so that kind of guides what we do. And the reality is that all media have a viewpoint. We're just more honest about ours.
Yeah, isn't that great? I'm not against biased journalism. I'm against dishonest journalism. I think that's such a great way to put it. Journalism doesn't necessarily have to remain unbiased, but disclose the viewpoint that you're coming from. Now, you are actually inside the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
Is it as weird inside there as I remember?
It's so weird. You know, it's so weird. And I've been coming to these things for 10 years now. You know, Copenhagen, Paris, Rio, doesn't matter. I'm always there, trying to get there. And it's always weird. This one is even weirder because there's this kind of dour mood among, you know, usually when you come to these, there's at least some fun. The activists are dressed up in polar bear suits and, you know, doing silly stunts. Here they're like angry and bitter. And I think they're really mad for a few reasons. The first one is that Donald Trump has kind of, you know, pooped on the parade, to use a metaphor, saying, you know, climate change is a hoax, sending some fossil fuel promotion panel to kind of troll the summit. It's brilliant. And so they're really upset about that. Then you have, of course, what's happening in France with the, you know, protests against the global warming tax. You know, that failed spectacularly. You have the new Brazilian foreign minister saying the global warming theory is a communist hoax.
He's not wrong.
I agree. And so, you know, this is all starting to sink into these people here that, oh my goodness, you know, this is not as inevitable as we thought it was. So they're really upset. And you know, some of the vitriol against people, for example, Mark Morano and Craig Rucker, who have a skeptical point of view, is just beyond anything that I've seen before. It's really creepy.
Yeah, you've been covering some of this, doing a lot of video journalism, and we checked out some of that. I think it's phenomenal. But you were actually confronted with us when we were talking on the street by someone who disputed your description of a snowfall. It was like a couple inches of snowfall we had on Tuesday night, and he disputed your description of that as a blizzard as somehow proof of global warming. He said, since I don't get to use my cross-country skis a lot, that is somehow proof to him of global warming. There's so much of this science that's wrapped up in personal anecdotes.
It really is. In fact, yesterday we had an opportunity to interview one of the Norwegian delegation, their youth delegate, and my colleague said, so, you know, what's your proof, you know, that there is man-made global warming? And she said, well, you know, there was a drought in Scandinavia this year, and unfortunately my colleague didn't push the issue. Well, you know, droughts have been around like forever. Does that mean that your CO2 emissions are causing it? So it's very, very bizarre, this idea. And, you know, as far as the science is concerned, I originally approached this with kind of a neutral viewpoint. You know, maybe they're right. Maybe human emissions of CO2 really are going to heat up the planet. And that was my approach. And so I started interviewing scientists. I've probably interviewed 50, 60, 80 scientists in my years coming to these things. And what I keep hearing over and over again, including from scientists who have worked on the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is that this is a bunch of rubbish. These people have no idea what they're talking about, and yet they act like, oh, well, if we reduce CO2 levels by 33%, we're going to change the temperature by 0.7 degrees. This is absolute idiocy, and no real scientist even believes this stuff, and yet they come around and they say, well, you know, I had a hot summer this year, or I didn't get as much snow this year as I had when I was a child, and so it must be global warming, man-made global warming. It's really very silly. And, you know, I think Richard Lindzen, the MIT meteorology professor, summed it up best. This is like cult-like behavior when you ignore all evidence that contradicts your hypothesis and just blindly believe and demand that others believe. We literally found a German guy in there, and we got it on video. I'm hoping we'll put it up online soon. He was telling somebody that he found a parliamentarian who didn't believe man causes climate change. He couldn't believe it. So he said,
I want to vote for him.
right, it was from the AFD, the Alternative für Deutschland. And so we said to him, so what do we do with these kind of people, playing along? So lock them up. Yeah. And I mean, that's the mindset here. It's like Lysenkoism from the Soviet Union.
Yeah, it's tyrannical. Alex, I want to give you a chance for a little bit of shameless self-promotion. Where can people find some of the incredible journalism that you're not only doing here, but that you have done at other climate change conferences?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. So most of that is available at thenewamerican.com. We also have a YouTube channel. We switched YouTube channels, so we're just getting started on our new one. And then we also have a print magazine that comes out twice per month. If people want to subscribe to that, we have a lot of exclusive content in there that doesn't go online. And so if people want to see that, a lot of the search engines now, I'm sure you guys know, they're trying to bury anything that doesn't go with the official line. But if you use the search engines and you type in The New American, Alex Newman, climate, you'll find infinite amounts of things. So
fantastic. Thanks for joining me, Alex. It was so great to meet, a fellow traveler, like two ships passing in the night. We found each other at the climate change conference. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. We're here in chilly Katowice, Poland, reporting at the United Nations Global Warming Conference. We're telling the other side of the story the Canadian government and the United Nations doesn't want you to see. Now, to support our independent journalism and to see all of my reports here from Poland, go to rebelun.com.